No agenda. Discussion by council board or other action on appointment to town boards and commissions. Mrs. O'Hara?
I've received several, I'm waiting for 3 more. I'm waiting for 2 that will drop me off.
Sorry, next agenda.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
carry that over.
New business discussion by council board or other action on preliminary discussions surrounding the town and social media use. Mr. O'Hara?
Yeah, so I wanted to put this on the agenda because I noticed, well, it kind of disheartens me to see, I've seen social media in today's day and age is really, it has a major impact on everyone's lives. Even those that don't use it, it still impacts, you see it every day in the news, that. It really disheartens me to see some of the ways that town pages, or I don't even know if they are town pages, they use the name and likeness get used. And I think that as we look to always protect our physical community, we need to protect our digital one. And so I did some research, and I know that these are Massachusetts towns, but I wanted to propose a discussion that we look to craft some do's or don'ts of how to use town-sanctioned social media. I don't even know, and I tried to look, and I couldn't find any town-sponsored that actually is run by the town social media. I know that there's a lot of pages out there that utilize it, and the solution to this is that no one knows. So like, when I was new to the town and I looked in, I would assume that everything out there is town-sponsored. And there's a lot of personal opinions that get interjected, and there's a lot of bias and all that stuff. And so I think we need to come up with some do's and don'ts, and then all I would have to say is that this is the town-sponsored page, and everything that doesn't have that, you could clearly tell that this is the information being fed out. The examples I found, that's how those pages operate. They're very unbiased, they're just facts and info, and it allows another mode of communication. So I just wanted to put out a preliminary discussion. We can continue the discussion to another meeting, so we can flush it and talk about it more. I know it's getting late. That's my premise.
Who's wanted it?
Yeah, why don't we,
Mr. President, yeah, go.
I'd like to have it put on the agenda.
Can we just continue to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Oh, so I make a motion to continue.
Motion and a second. I would continue it, just because I can see it coming. The next agenda is getting bigger. Moving to the first meeting in December. I know there's a lot on the agenda the next month, the next meeting, I should say. So a lot of housekeeping stuff that we need to do.
So can I make an adjustment or amendment to that then? So can I kind of work with maybe David and even Gary to kind of see what would look like from a North Smithfield perspective then, so that we can actually look at something that would be applicable?
Councilman, I have a very easy recommendation for you. We don't do it. When I came into office, I found that Facebook was not allowed on town's computers. I found it interesting and puzzling. Having watched a lot of the social media conversations, I'm adamant that we not allow our personnel to be engaging in Facebook conversations. They can do it on their own, certainly. I certainly do, but I don't do it by way of any town page. And I think that's the safest way for us to deal with the circumstances. We don't, as a town, promote Twitter sites, Facebook sites. There are some that exist. Our police department has some.
Parks and Rec has one.
No, Parks and Rec does not. That's a personal page that I objected to, and it's a personal.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but how would I not know that?
You don't, and that's the nature of the social media atmosphere. I just discourage any discussion about encouraging a condition where we are offering Facebook or Twitter accounts that are issued by the town. As long as I'm the administrator, I just won't let it happen.
I know I've gotten numerous Facebook messages, calls about the newsletter and the inappropriateness, what is perceived to be town-sponsored Facebook pages, inappropriateness. And that is why I put this on here. It's because I'm actually hearing from residents that we need to do something. So
I'll be happy to hear those complaints and deal with them like I do every other one, whether it's trash, mailboxes, streets, whatever. That's why I'm here. But I just will not encourage the circumstances we go forward giving any impressions that any department is encouraged to have a Facebook page or a Twitter account, or the like.
I agree with that. First Amendment right, you have the right to voice your opinion. You actually have a staff person in town that's voicing their opinion on one of the social media sites. Call me dinosaur, I think it's inappropriate because everybody knows who this person is and they're making a comment. They have the right to make those comments. It's a First Amendment right. I get it, but not on a town website.
And that was my point. You have a right, social media, you have a right to say whatever you want, but as a personal page. And even then, though, you look at corporations, and I know we're not a corporation, but you look at businesses, and they are even starting to look at how your likeness with the organization is tied. And as you see these examples in many communities, you are always either an elected or an appointed official first. And first and foremost, you have to act in the best representation of the town to protect the town's reputation. And in a lot of areas, that's just an indictment saying that these personal opinions are not representative of the town. And again, as Councilor Zawinski just said, we have a lot of personal opinions that are being interjected back and forth amongst multiple pages even, and you don't know if it's town or not town. And so I think as we look at the millennial and generation, I think it's X or Z or whatever it is, more and more people are utilizing social media, and if we are not utilizing social media as a means of communication, people are looking and people are watching and people know what is being talked about and they don't know if it's town or not town. And to the average person, they may think that that is how the town thinks.
So there's a motion to put on the next agenda, or the actual agenda for December 2nd.
To discuss this in further, we can allow public input, correct?
I think we should.
Okay. The motion I second it.
Motion by Ms. Sawyer, second by Mr. Zawinski. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bernardi?
No.
No. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
No. Next item, discussion by council board other action on comprehensive budget study for the July 15, 2019 meeting and determining the next steps. I have no paperwork on that either.
Yeah, so the reason I put this on is I just wanted to do a check-in because I know that the budget committee had met and then there was some scheduling and they had redone, and I saw that there is another, I think, follow-up conversation for that in terms of it. So it looks like I got some type of answer, so I think we'll just, there's no action that needs on this. We'll talk about it, I guess, in the whatever it is.
Mr. President, if I may, 5 a.m. comes really quick for me. I'm starting to fade. I'm never sharp, but I'm really dull right now. Is there any, would my councilors mind me just stepping off and going home and go to bed?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm leaving, Mr. President. Thank you for your indulgence, everybody. Have a good night.
Let the record show that Mr. Zawinski is
At 10:35.
Can I just propose something then? Can we just pay whatever needs to be paid and we discuss that? And then everything else that's not of a high priority, we just,
You guys can vote without
We-
me.
we
There's
just
4 of
vote?
you. If it's a lot, vote, give me a call. I'll vote by phone.
well, you can't do that.
Pay the bills, I'm going home. Sorry, everybody, but
There are
I'm
no
really tired.
bills.
Yeah. Did we do that?
Next item, discussion by council board other action on tax sale contract, authorization for signature to the administrator and the finance director on this. Tax sale agreement.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. It's the same exact contract as last year. It's the same amount of money, it's just for a new year. It's between us and the town and Rhode Island tax titles. Same company that we work with, same lawyer that we always use. And basically, there's really no funds that are appropriated from our budget. It's a wash. So what happens is, when we post a tax sale, we put that as a receivable on the account. When it gets sold, they pay, all the expenses are attached to this. So it's really a zero net. But I need permission for the town administrator to sign the contract.
Did we do a tax sale last year?
Yes, we do. Same time.
Do we anticipate doing a tax sale this year?
We do it every year.
Do we?
Where do we get the,
We do it every year.
listing?
Excuse me?
The listing, do they have?
We're not gonna listen to it, that's signed the contract.
Oh, thank you.
We get a listing, yes, and we have to post it in the paper and everything, yes.
So you're looking for a motion to approve and authorize the administrator to sign it. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs.
Second.
Bonioli, second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Vannen?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council board other action on first reading of the zoning ordinance amendment, section 5.4 district use and section 5.7 solar voltaic system. Just so everyone's aware, this is first reading. We can accept it as first reading. There's a public hearing scheduled for the 18th, which we will get public input, obviously. And then it's scheduled for second reading on the 2nd, where we can make any amendments. So this is kind of like to kick it off. Motion for first reading is to kick it off and get the process started. Is there a motion to
So
approve the first reading? Motion by Mrs. O'Hara. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bonioli. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Vannen?
Yes. Mr. Kravitz, if I know the planning board will be meeting in between. If they have any comments, you'll forward them, or they'll come to the public hearing on the 18th.
Correct.
Next item. The next item, life insurance.
What do you?
Oh, sorry.
Silent
He is left. Okay.
Before you move off that item, I just want you to know there's a memorandum with that for the planning.
Yes.
Oh,
Item E, they've left, so reach out to everybody, schedule it for the first meeting in December.
December.
We've already done G and H. I, discussion by council board of action on tax analysis, consult agreement with the Public Expenditure Council.
Mr. President, in order to bring data and detail to the discussion that the council has requested as it relates to our tax structure, I pursued and with the funding that you allotted by way of the prior year surplus, I pursued a proposal from the Rhode Island Public Expenditure Council to be able to do some research in our behalf to give us a base from which to start that conversation. I hope that you've had the chance to read the agreement. I strongly encourage that it be accepted and authorized for my signature, please.
We've heard the recommendation from the administrator. Is there a motion to approve and authorize signature by him
So moved.
to enter into a contract with RIPEC to do a property tax option study in the amount of $7,500. A motion by Mrs. O'Hara,
Second.
second by Mrs. Bonioli. Any other discussion?
Yes, I have a couple questions. So I know it's in here, it says April 15th of 2020. Is that the targeted date, or is that like the worst case date, or are they planning for next?
That's
Because I know it's like a month later.
That recognizes that we need this for our budget planning process for next year.
And then my other question was about who, so this says here that it talks about like town administrator, officers of the town, other blah, 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 heads of the stuff. So is it, who's actually coordinating this? Is it Cynthia, is it you, is it one of us, like a part of it, like how, what's the structure and stuff like?
This is being, it'll be overseen by the Budget Committee, which is, for our prior discussion on this. And the RIPEC report will be an element of their discussions as we advance this forward.
With help from the administration? Input from the
We have to
administration.
provide data.
Input and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
yes.
Mr. Vannen?
Yes.
Mr. President, did you vote to authorize the administrator to sign?
There was one motion.
Mr. President, we need to extend the meeting again. So I'm just gonna say, can we make a motion to extend the meeting to 11 o'clock?
Motion by Ms. Sylvia, second. Second by Mrs. Bonneville, Ms. O'Hara. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote of action on abatements. We do have a letter from the tax assessor, one abatement totaling $261.77. Do you agree with that, Ms. Gaines?
Yes, I do.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs.
Second.
Bonneville, second by Mrs. O'Hara. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes. Next item, discussion by council vote other action in regards to public hearings on future use of Hallowell School and Memorial Town Hall. As most of you are aware now, the school department has turned over the Hallowell school site to the town, they have control of the town, and the anticipated completion of the Kennedy School into the new town hall, Memorial Town Hall, will be taken. I did have a discussion with the administrator a while ago when we were waiting to get that piece from the school department to have public hearings so we could get input from residents of the community on what they would like to see done in the building. So this is just putting it out there so we want to start looking at dates or picking dates and when we can do that. Doesn't have, I would rather do it not as part of a council meeting. It would be separate meetings. I would say, you have a comment?
I'd like to encourage that at least one meeting be on be a daytime event, be a Saturday or a Sunday. Saturday is preferable, and it be at Hallowell. Because having walked through the building to be able to, the property, to be able to make sure that DPW knows as much as it needs to know to care for it in this interim period. I think you have to see it to understand. Some of my thoughts on what might be able to happen there have changed from that. We need people to see it.
Just try to think of dates and we'll try to coordinate a date that everyone's going to be available. Next item, discussion by council vote other
Mr.
action.
President, maybe on that point, rather than have a public hearing, you should actually sidewalk.
Yeah, it's going to be a community conversation more than anything. It's not going to be a council. I don't see it as a council meeting even. Just we want to invite people in to speak and give their ideas.
And then later on, we're going to have a public hearing.
Right.
Okay. Next item, discussion by council vote other action on pay application number 3 from Tupperware Inc. for Great Road and East Harkness Road. We have an application for payment in the amount of $186,769.91. Tupperware Inc. for paving. It says Great Road and East Harkness Road. This is part 2 of 4, right?
Yes.
And you recommend?
Oh, absolutely. As I said earlier, when I advocated for the change order to add Rhodes Avenue, what has happened thus far is all very good, and we are including the quantities that were estimated by the engineers. Now, could that change on the next leg? Of course it could, but thus far we are running at about $60,000 under the engineer's estimate. And the work has been done extremely well. So I encourage your consideration of
And
payment.
sign it over by pause on their inspection, sign it off on it.
Yes.
Further recommendation is a motion to approve payment to Tupperware Inc. in the amount of $186,766.91. Motion by Mrs. O'Hara, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Leary. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Barnamoli?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Rozier?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes. Motion.
Second.
Second.
Michael.
Sorry.